Hello there, I'm the CCG Collector, and today I'm going to be reviewing a number of card protection products from a company called Acrydis. Now, this is a fairly new company as far as I understand. They're based in Switzerland, and they sell all sorts of products to protect your cards. They got sleeves, they got top loaders, protective cases, display cases, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to be looking at a lot of those today. Now, full disclosure, most of the time when I do a product review video, it is a product that I purchased because I'm interested in it and I feel like sharing how I feel about it. In this case, either the owner of the company or an employee of the company reached out to me and said, hey, if I send you these products for free, will you review them on your channel for me? I said, yes, I'm willing to do that, but understand this is not a paid promotion. I am not going to just praise these products if they don't deserve praise. I'm going to try to be honest and open about how I feel about them. So that's what we'll see. Let us start with the very first product of theirs that caught my eye. These Perfect Fit penny sleeves. Now this is a pack of 100. It goes for about $3, maybe less if they're running a sale. The first thing you'll notice though is that even though they are labeled as Perfect Fit, if you recognize these dimensions, they are not perfect fit dimensions. These are not inner sleeves. They are merely smaller penny sleeves. So don't be swayed by that. Let's take a look at what they're like. I mean, exactly what you'd expect. Penny sleeve looking things. Take a card, put it in. It's tight to the card, but not so tight that you could fit it into a sleeve. And I'll show you that right now with the KMC. It's obviously not going to work. They're roughly the same width. And you know, that's fine. That's not what these are intended to be for. They're not intended to be inner sleeves. They're just intended to be a penny sleeve that doesn't flap all over, that doesn't extend way over the top edge of the card. And honestly, I kind of like that as a concept. I could see a use for these if you're doing a booster draft, for example. You got your packs, you're pulling out a card, you want to put together a deck, but maybe you get some nice cards, maybe you don't want to bust them up right away with shuffling them, so you just slip these things on. $3 gets you 2 booster draft decks covered, and super easy to put on. Or if you're just playtesting a deck, you don't want to commit sleeves to it. So I like the concept. I definitely like the price at $3. I mean, penny sleeves are supposed to be a penny each, but I don't believe they've been that way for a long, long time. So these are Acrydis' Perfect Fit penny sleeves. Next up, what I understand to actually be their inner sleeves. Now, these are confusingly just listed as sleeves, but then they do say down here Perfect Fit, and they give different dimensions. The ones that I showed first are 66 by 91 millimeters, whereas these are 64 by 89 millimeters. Again, $3 for a 100 pack. Compare that to KMC's Perfect Fits, and they go for, I think, I want to say about $5 for 100, $5.56. So you're looking at about half the price if these do the job. And let's find out if they do. Got the outer packaging there, got the inner packaging. You're going to see what these are all about. As you can tell, this is my first time opening the package. I don't actually know how these are going to fit, so we're going to find out right now. All right, and I like that. That's a snug fit, but it doesn't trap a lot of air in it. It doesn't go past the edge of the card. That is quite nice. And it's a fine line that you have to toe with this too, because if you make them too tight, then it cramps the card, it causes the card to bend. If you make them too loose, of course, they just slip right out when you try to double sleeve them. So this is actually, normally when you double sleeve with KMCs, at least with KMC inner sleeves, it's a little bit, it's easy to do. These feel a little bit harder. I think that might just be because the sleeves are snugger than normal. Let's try another one. Pop it on and pop it right into, oh, that's nice. I like that. I've had some inner sleeves where they don't inner sleeve well in KMC Hyper Matte sleeves, which this green one is, and I actually really like that feel there. Now I have also got some Dragon Shield sleeves, and we're going to see how they fit in there. Yeah, these, I really like the feel of these inner sleeves. Just first touch, go right in. Look at that. There's actually an official Dragon Shield double sleeving video from a number of years ago. I don't know if it's still updated, current, whatever. But they show you that the way you need to do it is you put your inner sleeve on, you put it into the Dragon Shield sleeve, and you cram your finger in and really get the card to go down, because otherwise the sleeve is just going to pop right off the inner sleeve. And that's not happening with these. Now, these are Dragon Shields that have had cards in them before, so they are a little bit looser than normal, but look at that. Okay, it did pop up a little bit, no problem. I'm used to that with Dragon Shields, just going to push it back up. And now we do the little finger trick. There we go. Look at that. Great tight fit to the cards. Fit inside Dragon Shields, fit inside KMCs, the Hypermats. I imagine they'll fit into almost any sleeve that you like. So, fantastic. I like that quite a bit. These are just called sleeves. Perfect fit. So, when you're buying your perfect fit sleeves from Acrydis, know which ones you're dealing with. Not these, unless you just want to do some deck prototyping or whatever. You want some small penny sleeves, the other ones. Anyway, I really like that, especially $3 for 100. Cheaper if you buy them in bulk. All of the items on the site, as far as I can tell, the more you buy, the more you save. So, if that sounds good to you, definitely grab them from Acrydis. Next up is their Pro Card case. I like to call them a one-touch case. That's what I believe Ultra Pro calls them, and BCW as well, I think. And what do you use these for? Well, I like them a lot because you have your kind of your valuable cards. You don't have them graded yet. You don't want to deal with a screw down. It's just you take the card, you take the case, magnetic closure at the top, pop it open, set it in there, and close it, and now your cards are pretty secure. Now you can take a bag like this. I don't know if you can do it like this one, or maybe you need a different one, but you can pop it in there and give it a little bit of extra protection, you know. This is just on the fly. Obviously, this bag doesn't quite work for it, but you get the idea. Keeps your card safe, nice and hard, not going to bend your card, not going to damage your card. I love one-touch holders like these. Does the Acrydis one-touch holder stand up to that? Let's see. Now, as far as I know, something like a company like Ultra Pro, they'll have your one-touch case, and they'll have a number of different thicknesses, because different kinds of collectible cards have different thicknesses back to front, and not all cards are going to fit in all cases. The only ones I believe Acrydis has are 35 point, which is going to be just fine for any of your standard collectible card game cards. Something like Yu-Gi-Oh! With small cards, Japanese size, I think they call them. Obviously, it's going to slide around in here a little bit, but let's see how this works. Actually, at a glance, I'll say right away that, let's actually not get these too confused here. The inside dimensions look incredibly similar. Not even the dimensions, like the structure of it, the design of it. Even with the corners, with their kind of, I don't know what you want to call that. It's not really a rounded corner, but it's like a octagonal corner, if you know there are four of them all together. Only real difference I can see is this one says Ultra Pro and has a gold magnet, and this one does not and has a silver magnet. So, in theory, this should work just as well. In practice, we'll see if it does. Take your unsleeved card, put it in there. A little bit loose, a little bit of play. Not a huge deal, I suppose. Just don't do this to it. You can hear it clicking around inside there. It's not really a tight, snug fit for the card. In fairness, is the Ultra Pro one a snug fit for the card? It is not. So, don't let that by itself dissuade you. Take a card with an inner sleeve on it, which is how I like to use these holders. Now, not only do you have all the edges and corners protected, it still moves around a little bit, but not as much. So, this is great. Their cases fit their cards. They fit their inner sleeves as well. Nothing to complain about for this one. So, fantastic. Pro Card, optimal card protection. This is, I believe, $4.50 for a case like that, which also is a fairly good price, as far as I can tell. Now we move on to another thing that intrigued me. This right here is Acrydis' protective case for booster pack. 65 millimeters by 117 millimeters. I assume those are the inner dimensions. But the point of this is if you have some, some fancy booster packs that you don't want any harm to come to. You want them maybe on display even, but at least protected. It'll hold them. It'll keep them safe. The way it works is it's got 3 pieces here. It's not actually frosted like you see here. It's just each piece has sort of a plastic covering. I took the covering off the front and back, but it just keeps the case protected from scratches while it's in shipping and transit, and then you just take it off when you want to go. So let's see how well this works. See if it's good for most booster packs. We'll start with Dagobah Revised Edition. This is a 9-card booster pack. And, well, okay, so I can already see a bit of a problem here. I think it'll fit in thickness-wise, but the pack itself is a little bit too tall to fit in this case properly. Or if you prefer, since it's not really the pack's fault, the case itself is does not have a long enough inner recess for the pack. So I don't think I'd want to store this in here, particularly from screwing it down. Next up is the 11-card Coruscant pack, and I'm going through these different card counts because obviously the more cards in a booster pack, the thicker it's going to be. Want to make sure it still fits. And here, actually, so this is good. So this is probably what the designers were going for. You see, this Coruscant pack is not actually as tall as the Dagobah pack. And because it's not as tall, it fits in nicely top to bottom, and it fits in nicely inside the case. So that is wonderful. Moving on to the next one, we've got our 15-card Hoth Limited pack. And, okay, it has that Dagobah length, that Dagobah height. It's not going to fit in the recess top to bottom. And, okay, here is where, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but here is where we start to have problems. A 15-card booster pack is not going to fit in this protective booster pack case. It's too thick. Case is not thick enough. And that honestly really surprises me because I feel like the majority of booster packs you're going to get are going to have more than 11 cards in them. Like, I think a Magic pack is 15 or 16 cards or 18 cards. And I feel like it's been that way for a while. I don't know about other popular games, but yeah, 15 card packs do not fit. And then last one, Reflections 3, 18 cards, including a thicker foil card, is obviously not going to fit at all. So that is how you are. Make sure that you have your booster pack is not too tall, and make sure it does not have more than 11 cards, and it will fit nicely in here. Now, see all these parts sliding around. How do you keep it together? These metal screws. So you have the bottom part that you screw the screw into, and you have the top standard head screw. And here's also something that you're going to see is a little bit difficult here. That because the screw recess is not in the case itself, but is its own individual metal component, it's very awkward. See what I'm kind of doing? I'm kind of using my ring finger here to keep this bottom part in place while I screw this shut. And if you're only, yeah, that's actually, it's kind of sliding on my finger. I've done this before. It's not working super well right now. But once you get it screwed together, it's great. You don't need to unscrew it. Who cares? But it is awkward to do it that first time. The upside of using screws like this is that you don't need to worry about what happened with the, if you see my older video about BCW, I think, or Ultra Pro 4-card and 2-card display cases, where the screws were screwing directly into the plastic, and it was really unpleasant. Here you've got the metal screw into the metal bottom part, screw, receiver, receptacle, hole, whatever you want to call it. And it's machined perfectly to fit together. You're not cracking into any plastic. It's a really nice feel. It's going to hold together really tightly. It's just awkward to screw together that first time. So that is the protective case for booster packs. And these are going to go for about $14 each. So if you like it, that's where to find it, Acrydis.com. Next up, similar vein, but a different product. This is their 2-card screw down. Again, I don't know, yeah. So you see the kind of the frosty look here. Again, maybe you can tell on the edge. This is just protective film that they put over it so it doesn't get scratched while they're shipping it to you. To me, that's fantastic, and it's crystal clear once you take that off. Now these, you'll see, are connected. Well, first of all, before we go into the screws here, let's compare it to a similar product. I think this one is by BCW, Ultra Pro. One of the two. Companies are interchangeable. I'm pretty sure they make the products in the same factory, so whatever. You'll see here we've got a 3-card holder, and it requires a total of 8 screws. But that way you know every single part of this is screwed down tightly. You're not really going to have a lot of play in here. The card's going to stay where the cards are supposed to stay. Wonderful. Got a nice slick black border. Really sets off the cards. Compare it to the Acrydis one. Acrydis does not have the rounded corners. It's a little bit higher, borders are a little bit thicker, and so on. And they only have the 4 screws. And this is true for all of their display cases, whether it's 2 cards, whether it's 4 cards, whether it's 18 cards. 18 cards? 9 cards for sure. I know they make some pretty big ones. I believe they only ever have 4 screws. It's certainly a concern for these 2-piece Ultra Pro BCW kind of products. You have a bottom and you have a top. But because of the design of these cases, they come in 3 parts: the back, the border, and the front. And by screwing down these corners, it is tight enough and it is secure enough, particularly because they use the metal screw with the metal anchoring points instead of metal screw being driven directly into plastic. This is just a 3-piece element. Got a kind of a threaded metal dowel, I don't know what you call that, and then 2 ends here. And unlike the booster pack case where I needed a screwdriver for, these I can simply put in the hole and screw it together by hand. Let's take a look at how these seem to fit the cards. So we're going to have a card without an inner sleeve, and if I can find one, we're going to have, I put it in my one-touch case over here. We're going to have a card also without an inner sleeve. All right, I'm goofing up here. But let's just see how the unsleeved ones work anyway. We're going to put them both in. Going to close this up, and we're going to try to screw this together. You can see that this is a pretty nice, pretty snug fit here. Not terribly awkward to screw it in by hand. You shake it, they move around, but they do not, and this is important to note, they do not slip between the frames. So wonderful. That is the Acrydis 2-card screw down. And last but not least, we've got this monster of a product, the premium display. Now this, the 2-card screw down does go for $20. Similar ones by Ultra Pro BCW I think are closer to 8 or 10, but this one is a lot nicer as well. This is the premium display. It's basically a one-touch holder on steroids. Massive thing. Magnetic clasps on the top. Set your card in. Insert it in. Let it lock shut. And here you go. This thing will set you back $40, but it should. Stays together. You don't have any awkward screwing. And it's a pretty good looking display case. Not too much more to say about that because it is so simple and straightforward. That is the Acrydis Premium Display for a single card. And that's all. If you like those products, definitely take a look. Acrydis.com. And they've also got an Instagram and a Facebook, I believe. A couple things to note. They have bulk pricing, so the more you buy, the more you save. So these prices that I quote, they do get lower if you get more. They also do sales, it seems, fairly regularly, so try to catch them on one of those. I think this maybe is $32 or $36 instead of $40 right now. One final consideration. They are a Swiss company, which means that you are paying, if you live in the United States, you are paying for international shipping. It's tracked shipping, I believe, so you're not going to lose your product, probably, but it is going to be more expensive because it's international. But If you don't mind that, if you like the products, if you think they look great, take a look, www.acrydis.com, and see what they've got. I'm the CCG Collector. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.